Hi everybody. Doing a quick demo of the work with float that we had today. I have uploaded this picture of a 20-sided die, and I'm going to drop it into a page and float it to the side either way, and then we'll mess around with clear a little bit as well, just like we did in class today. So I'm going to change my title to float demo. You'll notice that I already deleted the JavaScript file that it starts with and got that link out of there as well, that script tag. So just build some basics in here. Float demo video, header, and then pretty commonly we end up with a structure that looks like an article. It's going to have a heading. We'll have a Dungeons and Dragons as our heading, and then maybe we've got an image. Source equals d20r. I need to put quotes around that. d20rt.jpg. Alt equals 20-sided die. Pick. There we go. And then maybe I've got a paragraph that says the game of Dungeons and Dragons has long been played by people of every age. It is the ultimate in communal storytelling and collaborative imagination. It has dungeons and dragons and dwarves and more. So I think that's probably enough to be getting on with. Close that paragraph, and then I'm going to close that article as well. And if I just take a look at that directly, and I open up this window right here, we see that that picture is way too big. So I'm going to start by styling that image. If I'm doing it right, I ought to shrink that image up, but for the sake of this, I'm just going to give it a width of, let's go with 250 pixels is fine. Okay, so I reload that, and now we see that is there, and then it's got that paragraph below it. And I'm going to shrink this window up a bit so that we can start to see a few lines, right? So that's a little more like how we want to see it. And we probably don't need those things in the background anymore. So what I can then do is take this image and I can say I want to float it to the left. And what float always does is it takes, and it's based in large part on the order in HTML. So the image is here, so it's going to float it to the side and move stuff up beside it. Whatever came before it is unaffected. Okay, it's really important to recognize this. Floats whatever you've told to float to one side or the other, and stuff below it can move up beside it. So now if I reload, notice that this text comes up to here instead. So now, just like I did in our class demonstration, I can give this a little bit of margin, give it a box shadow, 2 pixels, light gray. That might be a little better. And let's do a border radius of 5 pixels to round off that border. There we go. That's not too terrible. So that's kind of how that works. I can also change that left to right and reload, and now it comes up over here. Okay, it's worth having some additional text in order to see exactly how it works once it gets below the thing. So I'm going to look for a lorem ipsum generator, go to lipsum.com, and I'm going to do one paragraph, generate that, see how that does for me. Copy it and drop it into here, and that might give us a different look. Not quite enough, so I'm going to paste it again, reload, and now we've got it. So we can see how it's keeping that 5 pixel margin, and it is wrapping around it like that. So that's pretty good. And we can see what it looks like if I float left instead. Okay. Nice, right? There we go. And I tend to like left better than right in most cases. I'll show you later on how to alternate them, but that's a different story. Okay, the next thing that I want to demonstrate is this idea that we can have things come up. So I'm going to get rid of my lorem ipsum. And sometimes if I've got two things, let's say I create another article and I do an H1 and we're going to do a different game, Robo Rally maybe. And we'll just do a paragraph on this one. Robo Rally is a board game for programmers. It is lots of fun, but can give you a headache if you're too tired or play too long. We'll go down here and close off that article, and then we take a look at it. And we see that that Robo Rally article comes up beside this Dungeons and Dragons and sort of into this Dungeons and Dragons piece, and that's not what I want at all. I want my articles to really be separate, even if they're short. So in order to prevent something from coming up beside something that's floated above it, we can do this. I'm going to say article, I'm going to clear, and I can say left, right, or both, and that determines both means it won't let anything float beside it. If I choose left, it means it won't let anything float to the left of it. If I say right, it won't let anything float to the right of it. So I'm going to say both. That's what you use most often, honestly. And that makes it so the next article comes down. So it looks a little strange to have a picture that is bigger than the text for it, but it's better than having the Robo Rally one get put beside the Dungeons and Dragons video. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And I'll put in descriptions for what I'd like you to do in the classroom once I get this going. Thanks, everybody.